Okay, thank you, Shane. Just want to say, I hope everybody had a great holiday, and we'll get our Northeast Tennessee, Virginia Home Consortium meeting started on January 12th, 10 a.m. We are doing this by electronic means because of the COVID, and Christina's going to kind of go over that with us for the necessity to do that.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Morning. Okay, so I'm going to read the discussion of necessity for conducting electronic meetings. Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16, which has been extended through February 27, 2021 by Executive Order number 71, suspends the provisions of the Open Meetings Act to the extent necessary to allow governing bodies to conduct their essential business by electronic means rather than being required to gather a quorum of members physically in the same location. One condition of the meeting electronically is that if a member of the consortium or staff is attending by audio only, they are asked to identify themselves by name and position when they speak. In order to proceed with this meeting electronically, the governing body should make a determination that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. At this time, it would be appropriate for the members to discuss whether they believe that meeting electronically is necessary and vote accordingly. If the members do not agree that meeting electronically is appropriate at this time, then this meeting should be adjourned until such time as the members can meet in person. Discussion, Chairman?
Does anyone have any questions about meeting electronically? And if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion and a second, please.
This is Bill Forster. I would entertain a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, Ellen's our second. Any further discussion or questions about this? Having seen none, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Chairman Chad Keene?
Yes.
Sherry Green? Absent. Amber Torbett?
Yes.
Ellen Tolton?
Yes.
Stephen Freeman?
Yes.
Mayor Irene Wells?
Yes.
Hey, Mayor Wells. Glad you could join us. Jessica McMurray?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next order of business is the approval of minutes from October 13th. Is there any corrections or comments about our minutes? Having seen none, we could enter a motion in a second, please.
I move we accept the minutes.
And do we have a second? Okay, can I second that, Christine? I guess I can I?
Sure.
No. Okay, I'll make the second. And if there's no further discussion or questions, we will do a roll call vote to approve the minutes.
Okay, Chairman Keene?
Yes.
Sherry Green? Absent. Amber Torbett?
Yes.
Ellen Tolton?
Yes.
Stephen Freeman?
Yes.
Mayor Wells? Mayor Wells? Do you approve? Thank you. Just checking to make sure you approve the minutes. Thank you. And Jessica McMurray?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next order of business, we'll have Bill and Renee telling us about the status on projects.
I'll just start out by saying, again, we appreciate working with the City of Bristol and the consortium. It's really a wonderful program. We've been working hard on trying to get some of these projects started. We're also working on some environmental reviews right now, trying to get some lined up in all of the communities because we do have quite a bit of money. And I'll turn it over to Renee and kind of let her give the report of exactly what is happening right now.
Okay. On the first page of the summary report that we have available, it has the funds available for each community in your homeownership account, homeowner rehab, and then I added a separate column for committed. So for the communities of Bluff City and Johnson City, the amount, current balance under your homeowner rehab is what you have. But we have signed contracts. So out of that amount, the next column is what we have committed so far. And I will say with Johnson City, we had another contract signing yesterday. So that amount committed is actually probably closer to 180,000. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's committed and what you will have left over after that's been paid. For the Choteau set-aside funding, we're still working with Eastern 8. Their environmental assessment has been submitted to HUD, and we are waiting on their approval before agreements are signed. The agreements are drafted. Again, we're just waiting for that final approval before we get the signature on. People Incorporated has given us another project to start looking at that, and we have started initial work on the environmental review for that as well. As far as funding activity, on home ownership, we've only concluded one in this quarter. We've received a couple of different payoffs for that. And then as far as homeowner rehab, we have closed out one project. Again, we have one underway in Bluff City. We have now 3 underway in Johnson City. And with the other communities, we are working on wrapping up their environmental reviews. We're almost finished with several of them. So after that, then we'll be looking at doing the work write-ups and bidding those projects out. And right now, that's about where we're at. The last couple of pages kind of gives you an idea of who we have on our wait list right now. And over this last quarter, it has grown substantially. So, and that's about all I have.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was just looking as far as like the home ownership, the home ownership assistance that we give. Do we advertise that at all? Or I'm wondering if, like the city of Bristol, Virginia, do we need to have anything on our website saying that those funds are available? How do we do that?
It's a lot of it is by word of mouth.
Yeah.
Occasionally we do, you know, along with public notices and stuff, we let other people know. There are certain entities we work with quite often, Habitat for Humanity and Eastern 8. We get a lot of referrals through them, and then some of the major lenders in the area are aware of our programs, such as, Bank of Tennessee and Eastman Credit Union. But if there's a lenders meeting or something that the city of Bristol knows that's going on, if this is something, you know, you would like us to come and speak to them about, that's fine. We can do that too.
Okay, I was just curious. It just kind of dawned on me. I was wondering if I needed to be doing something, or mainly because I guess I didn't see any new applications. But I did learn it's a priority for the city when we did our comprehensive plan last year, that a lot of people do like this program. So I was just checking. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Ellen, if you would like to put that on your website, I think it'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, maybe I will do that. Thank you.
I don't think that'd be a problem at all. You
Okay.
know, we definitely need to spend this money down. So if there are opportunities, let's try to take advantage of it.
Okay, thank you.
Also, one thing on our assistance, depending upon how their subsidy analysis comes back, it could be anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 per project. So if you had a couple of applicants, you know, we would be looking at, with your funding balance under homeownership, doing 2 to 3 with the funds that you have available.
Hey, Renee, it's Jessica. I have a quick question.
Uh-huh.
On the Choteau set aside funding for 2020, is there going to be an application round for that money?
Yes, we have talked about that. We haven't really set anything up yet. Christina, do you want to field that question?
Yeah, we will, Jessica. The problem is we are trying to get prior year funds spent first. So as you can see, we've got a couple of years that we're still working on, and HUD has kind of suspended the period that we would have had to make commitments for our CHOTO funding. So we're not on such a timeline as we were, which is good.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Any other matters we need to talk about under the projects?
This is Amber Torbett. I have one question for Renee or Bill. On page 2, what are subordination requests? I have one in Sullivan County. I don't know what that means.
Okay, that is when somebody has had either a home ownership or a home over rehab. The deed of trust is still within the compliance period, and they may be looking to either refinance or take out a loan or something along those lines. They have to request from the consortium more or less permission to do this, that we will subordinate our deed of trust. And it doesn't mean our deed of trust goes away. It just means, we're okay with them either refinancing or borrowing money for some other reason.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay, I gotcha.
Okay.
And the subordination would mean that you fall back a place. So if you subordinate, Amber, to another deed of trust, then you take from that first position to the second. That makes sense?
Okay. Yes.
So
Yes.
you want to make sure there's enough money in the property to cover
Right.
before
you're
we
right.
subordinate.
I gotcha.
And there is criteria in the programs and policies and procedures. Especially if it's a refinance, they have to better their interest rate greater or 1% or better. Their appraisal would have to come back enough to cover what they're refinancing plus our deed of trust. There's no cash outs on that unless they are doing improvements to the home. So, there's specific guidelines that have to be met before we can consider that.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, next order of business is old business. Christina, please.
Yes, so we have been talking about, it's funny, Jessica, you bring up CHOTO projects, because we've been talking about these community housing development organizations projects for months, if not years. I have some good news and bad news. I'm going to go with bad news first on the People Incorporated project. So discussions initially started in the fall 2019 for our funding of the 2019 and 2018 money. We have $152,957 that this board wanted to work with People Incorporated on a project. All right. So People Incorporated gave us a project that we approved in the last board meeting to move forward with. However, the proposed project at 616 Lawrence Avenue in Bristol, Virginia, included acquisition costs of $160,000, property improvements of $26,196, and additional closing costs of $5,000, bringing it to a total of $191,196. So basically, the home ownership allowable amount in Bristol, Virginia would only be able to go for a single unit home of $153,000. Even with us increasing our subsidy limits, the house that they presented to us is basically too nice. It was too expensive for what we can do with federal money. We found out about that, and unfortunately had to say no to the 616 Lawrence Avenue project that we were really excited about, and unfortunately it was just too nice of a property. So we did send a letter to Bob Goldsmith, who is the CEO at People Incorporated, and we're working with Brian Phipps and others from People Inc. And Ellen, you're welcome to jump in here if you want to at any point. And they understand the process. They have been a Chodo for some time, so they understand basically the limits that we are forced to, we're required to go by. So they have a new potential project at Massachusetts Avenue that they have started working on and are looking on a purchase order. They would need a quick turnaround of 60-day study period and then a closing within 30 days from that. So I think that we should be able to have additional time for this board to hear out their next proposed project, and hopefully it will meet the federal guidelines for the Chodo approval this time around.
Yeah, just to add to that, it's basically two narrow lots that they want to, they would be able to pull together and build new. There's no structures on that property, so they would either be able, I think they would be able to build either a single dwelling or, you know, a duplex or a townhome kind of thing. So the last communication we had with them was we asked them, they're still working with the owners, you know, to get a contract on it, but we asked them to see what kind of dwelling they might put on there. But like Christina said, hopefully by the next meeting we will have some definite information.
Thank you, Ellen, for working with them and with us on this time frame. We appreciate you doing that. Moving on to the HUD 2020-2024 consolidated plan. Our consolidated plan was approved. I'm happy to admit for the Home Consortium. And that included the one-year action plan, which all those numbers have already been added to your board report. So if you have any questions on that, just let us know. On the 2019 CAPER, the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, we do have that finalized. I know that there are a few typos, so I apologize. I'm going to get those corrected. And I know that, you know, Kingsport and Johnson City are also working on their CAPERs. We're kind of on different time tables here, but HUD is being really good. Our field office is being really good to work with us all on at our own paces. And we're also kind of lucky because with the Home Consortium, a lot of this COVID-19 pandemic hasn't really affected our home programs. You know, it really has affected our CDBG programs, but not so much the home. Home is just kind of doing its thing. So that's really good. But if you have any comments or concerns, the public comment period for the CAPER starts today. We'll have a public hearing tonight at our CDAC meeting at 5:30, and it will last until the 26th of the month. So if you have any comments or questions, please let us know.
Any further discussion? Okay, next order of business is new business. Christina?
Sure. Okay. So the only really piece of new business that we have to talk about is I need the board to hopefully ratify a decision that the development district and I made this fall. So a BTES customer here in Bristol, his name is Randy Stamey. He lives at 1424 5th Street, Extension, Bristol, Tennessee. He received down payment assistance from our Home Consortium back in 2015 in the amount of $6,685. So at the time we looked at this, he was in his 5th year of his 10-year compliance period. So Mr. Stamey applied for a small loan with BTES for storm doors. The loan amount was $1,248. So an our deed of trust basically says that secondary financing is prohibited. So what BTS would have wanted us or has asked us to do was write a letter approving that we consent to him getting a lien on his property for those storm doors in the amount of $1248. So we did speak with our city attorney, Danielle Smith, at length on what to do. And, so BTS wasn't really asking for a subordination of the Home Consortium's deed of trust. So there was really no risk to consenting to the request. So we didn't really have anything in our policy and procedures to address a decision like this. It would have been something that we brought to the board. And, us giving consent to BTS, we just needed to make sure that you guys would approve that also and ratify that decision that we did. So, Chad, we'll have to do, if there's any discussion, we're happy to talk about it. But we did give him permission to get the storm doors. Improving the property is definitely important to us. So we gave him the permission, gave BTS the letter. And now we just need you guys to hopefully A-OK that decision to do that. So
let's open the floor up for discussion and questions on it.
somebody will need to make a motion to ratify that decision.
Make a motion to ratify the decision.
Motion from Mayor Wells.
This
We
is
have a
Amber Corbett. I'll second.
Great. Any further discussion? Having seen none, I guess we'll need a roll call vote, Christina?
We'll do it one more time. Thank you, Chairman. Chairman Chad Keene.
Yes.
Sherry Green. Absent. Amber Torbett.
Yes.
Ellen Tolton.
Yes.
Stephen Freeman.
Yes.
Mayor Wells.
Yes.
Thank you. And Jessica McMurray.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any announcements? Any other further information or projects or anything like that that we need to go over?
No, I don't have any other project updates other than I want to say that ARCH, Appalachian Regional Coalition on Homeless, will be doing a abbreviated point in time count for the homeless this year. We talk about that a lot in our board meetings, and it has been brought up in our comprehensive plan. They're going to do that count as best they can on January 27th through the 28th. So we'll be able to have numbers for you guys maybe in the springtime. Again, that will be abbreviated count. It will not be as thorough as has happened in years past, just because they don't want their staff out with everything going on.
I know also on that note, we, the Bristol, Tennessee City Council is sometime in the future looking for a presentation. Help me with who would be doing that, Christina?
Ann Cooper with Arch.
Yes, had a great conversation with her and Christina at the end of last year, sometime during the fourth quarter, and good information. We had a downtown business owner that had some ideas, and we had a little telephone call amongst everybody, and I think there were good ideas from our business owner, but by the same token, a lot of the ideas we had, there was a reason or not to implement, and but great information. And I would encourage other areas to get information based off, off our homeless. It's an ongoing conversation and issue amongst the entire Tri-Cities area, and At any rate, Christina, you got anything to add to that? I mean, any new news along those lines?
I don't have anything super positive. There's a grant coming up for emergency solutions grant with THDA that a lot of these communities on here with us today are working with Arch to try to get some additional funding. So cross your fingers for them, and we wish them the best of luck.
Great. Anybody got anything else before I talk about our next board meeting? So our next meeting is scheduled for April 13th, 10 a.m. And we have kind of been playing it by ear as to if we can meet in person versus meeting virtually. For me, a lot of the meetings that we have been doing have worked really well, been a huge time saver for me. Anybody got any thoughts on moving forward? First off, I'll ask this, Christina, let me say this. Rules under our city council state that we must meet in person at our meetings unless the governor makes an announcement like he has the last several months for COVID. Do those rules still apply for this group, this organization?
Chairman Keene, I believe that they do. I'll be happy to check with Danielle Smith, our city attorney, about that. But unless the governor makes his, the public meetings electronic, he okays that, then we do need to meet in person.
Okay. All right. So we'll try to do that. We don't know exactly how the vaccination process is going to go between now and then, but hopefully we can meet in person. And if we do, it'll be at the Annex building in Bristol. But we will be in contact prior to that meeting to confirm that. And if we don't have any further announcements from anybody or anything else to discuss, I'll adjourn the meeting.